Hey guys, this is Miguel from Studio 3 and 3, and in today's video we are going to create our own HDRi backdrop with its material as well. So let's get started. And we are starting in Blender, and the first thing we're going to do is to add a sphere. So Shift A, add mesh, and we're going to look for UV sphere. We got our sphere there, and I'm going to change this to 64, the rings to 32. I'm going to make sure that generate UVs is enabled. Going to bring my menu here, scale this to 500, and then Control A, apply all transform, so everything is 0 and the scale is 1. I'm working in centimeters. You can change that into the scene. You go here, this rhombo and sphere, and then units, length, centimeters. This is the unit. You work in Unreal, so I think it's more straightforward. Now we right click into the sphere, shade smooth, and then we want to make sure that press tab to go into edit mode, and then Control Shift N to recalculate the normals and tell Blender that this sphere, the face is going to be on the inside. So if you go right and overlays, face orientation, and it's blue. So everything is good. Now we're going to check the UV, and everything is fine. It's 101, so you can leave it as it is. Now let's export this. File, export, FBX. Going to my folder here, HDRi backdrop. I'm going to call them SM Dev World. Just let me just select object, apply transform just in case, and then smoothing goes into face. And that's it in Blender. Now let's jump into Unreal. Now in Unreal, so I've just created a blank project from the main template in Unreal. I believe that it opens like this when you start. And I'm gonna create a folder here. I'm gonna call this HDR backdrop work. Okay. I'm gonna create another folder called geometries. Another folder called maybe materials. And I believe I'm gonna create one for blueprints as well. So I'm gonna import my geometries. I've got my world here, and I've got the exposure reference. These files are gonna be available for you to download on Gumroad for free. So don't worry if you don't have a reference for exposure reference. I'm gonna show you how it looks. I'm gonna uncheck generate missing collisions, and I'm gonna check generate light map. So import. So I've got my exposure reference here, and I need to create a material for our white, our chrome, our grays, our blacks. I'm gonna do that in a minute. So we can do it right now. So material, M for master, depth, and reference. Exposure reference. Exposure ref. Should be fine. Now we can double click. Let's bring a constant 3 vector. So right click, which is a color. I'm gonna give this a value of 0.02. I took that value from this page in Unreal Engine 5, and it's on base color intensity. It says that 0.02 for charcoal. Using this from, I learned this way from William Fosher on his lighting video, doing a reference, and it's really helpful to have a reference for you for checking the highlights, the lights, the shadows, exposure. So it's always good to have one. So let's connect this into the base color. gonna create a metallic. So constant, just one. We're gonna convert this into a parameter. So metallic. And connect that here. So if you want a constant and it's an easy way, you can press 1 and then left click and you got 1 and then convert it into parameter. So it's going to be a specular and I'm going to give a value of 0.5. I'm going to change this into slider max to 1. Another way to bring your a constant parameter is press S and then left click. And there you go, another one. Roughness. I'm going to give this a value of 0.3. Connect this here. And I want to expose my color. So this is going to be color. Right, that's it for the master material. I'm going to create a right click, create material instance. This is going to be black. I'm going to add an eye for material instance. I'm going to duplicate this. This is going to be my gray. And duplicate again. This is going to be white. And of course, we need a chrome as well. So with that selected, I can just bring this one here, chrome. Let's edit this. Give a value of 1. And the roughness is going to be 0. And the color is going to be white. Can use 0.1. That is there. Now we do our gray. I'm going to give a value of 0.18. And bring that into gray. And white is going to have a value of 0.81. That is fresh now according to Unreal. Okay, so we got our exposure reference. It's ready. And we're going to start working on our material for the HDR backdrop. So let's save this. Let's do here, levels. Let's call this HDRi backdrop. So I can just organize this a little bit. I can create a folder, call these instances, and this another folder for masters. And one thing I do is to give color to them. And actually, I have created this color, but if you go into new color and then click on the eyedropper, you can see this color here. I just find it way easier to find stuff visually when you got so many meshes and sound and LUTs and plenty of stuff in Unreal, and it becomes difficult to just find things out. And I'm just gonna drop this for the master. This is gonna be my master color, and I can just move that here. And I think, oh, I got one for my greens already, my instances already, dark green. And move this one here. Let's save all. And this one, I'm gonna give a color, a light color. Yeah. Geometries, I can also do the same. Set color. It's, I believe, this one as well. And for blueprints, well, if I create a blueprint, PP environment, then set color to. Okay, that's done. Let's work now on our material for our HDRi. So M for master, HDRi backdrop. We didn't use that. So now we can bring our HDRi in, and the best place for me to find HDRi is Polyheaven. You can find really nice ones. This is the latest one, I believe, or hot. Well, I'm gonna choose. I think this one. Haven't tried this one, so yeah, let's do that one, and maybe this one here, just a sort of cloudy one. So I'm gonna download. You can leave it as 4K. That's fine. HDRi. So let's download this. Always add a T on your textures, just to find stuff easier. And download this T. Okay, let's go back into Unreal. We can bring our HDRi. So on materials, got this texture. And let's import. So I've got my T, and we can also, just in case, no, I think I've done that already. Because on geometries there is a texture here. And we can set the color to this red. Great. Now we can just select one of this. Gonna bring this one in. And I'm gonna bring this as a texture object parameter. I'm gonna call this HDRi day. Right, now what we want to do, we want to do the rotation for the sky, and we are gonna only rotate on the z-axis. So let's do a constant one, click. I'm gonna need this as a parameter, so I'm gonna call this rotation. Value is 0, that's fine. And I'm gonna do another constant, but this one is gonna be just a constant, not a parameter, and 360. I'm gonna do a 1 minus, and then I'm gonna divide this by this value. And I'm doing this because I prefer to just set the degrees from 0 to 360. So if I need 45 degrees, I just type 45, and that's gonna do the 45 degrees. I don't need to mess with fractions and stuff like that. So I'm gonna just do a constant 3 vector. So I'm gonna press 3 and then left click. I'm gonna give this blue a value of 1. It's gonna be a pure blue, and it's gonna be on my Z. I'm gonna look for a rotate about axis. This one here. I'm gonna connect my RGB to normalize rotation axis, and my rotation to the rotation angle. I'm gonna need another constant, so 1, and then left click. And I'm gonna leave that on 0. And I'm gonna look for an absolute, world position. I believe this one is, yes, absolute world position. Gonna add here, and I'm gonna add this too. So add, and XYZ, I want this to be added as well. Can just left click and keep this organized and easy to read. So let's move this way, more organized. Then select all of them and then type C and leave the command rotation. Show bubbles when zoom, and we can connect this into our UVs. So now we are going to do some parameters for our HDRi. And the first thing I'm going to do is bring a constant 3 vector, or the 3 is a color, just that's how it's called. I'm going to convert this into a parameter, and I'm going to call this HDRi day control. I'm going to give values to this of 1, 1, 1, and I'm going to use this, my red as a saturation, my green as a brightness, and my blue as a contrast. So if you go down here, you can, maybe this is close, and you can click in here, parameter customization, and give names to these channels. So this is going to be saturation. This one, brightness. And this one, our contrast. This one is non-applicable, so we can just type N and A. Our alpha channel is not going to do anything for us in this case. So first thing we're going to work is on the saturation. To go into RGB to desaturation. And this, we're going to do a 1 minus. Let's connect this into a fraction. And that's it for the saturation. Easy peasy. So now we look for a multiply. Multiply. And bring our brightness here. So this value on my green channel is going to control how bright my image, my texture is. And we can do a tint to, so we can have possibility to change to, if it's, I mean, whatever color you want or you need for your project. So let's do a color 3. Convert this into, sorry, convert this into a parameter. Let's call this tint day. And let's multiply this. Now, I think I'm going to just do the B, and I'm going to bring this one here. Let's multiply for this color, and we can just change it to pure white or 111. I want to control this 10. So I think I'm going to do a LERP, or linear interpolation. Linear interpolate. This is the one. Or you can just press L and then left click. It's easier to bring that in. It's one of the most used ones in materials. And I believe in blueprints as well. Well, not in... I think that's wrong. In materials, I haven't seen them, or in blueprints, I haven't seen them as much as in materials. So we're going to do these like constant, or S, left click, tint day variation. Going to leave this as a 0, and this is going to be our alpha. Okay, let's just move this a little bit to this side. Make some space. And what else we need? We need a power for a contrast. So bring this here, power. And this is going to control our contrast. Keep things, try to keep things easy to read in case you got more than one people working on your projects. Let's select all of this and then type C, HDRi day. And we can connect this into the emissive color. But we want to change this, of course. We want to set the shading model to unlit. It is going to be a two-sided. And on advanced here, we're going to set is the sky. So now let's create a material instance and see if it's working correctly. So masters, create material instance, add an eye there, and then we can just get rid of ins at the end. We can move this into instances. Let's save all. And let's get rid of everything in here. We can just, there's a folder here called lighting. All of it, we don't need it for this exercise. So complete darkness, we're going to bring our sphere. This one here. Gonna place it on the 0, 0, 0. Gonna do this material instances, bring that in here. And it's something. And it's quite a nice one. Quite like the clouds, is really cool. I'm gonna leave the link into the description if you didn't catch the name. And you can ask me why this is black, and it is black because there is no skylight. So we need to bring a skylight in. And it's not projecting the sky because we need to change this into movable, real-time capture, and voila, it's like magic. Man, I love Unreal too much. There's something weird on the mountains, and I believe it's because it's not big enough. So let's scale this into 20. Yeah, now I can see the mountains there. It's quite cool, and you can see here everything seems well exposed, and we don't have any post-process volume, so maybe I'm gonna look for that. Something I would recommend is to go into your skylight and go into lower hemisphere. Let's go a solid. Uncheck that. We don't want to have a black hemisphere on our reflections. So yeah, just uncheck that. You don't need to do anything else unless you want to increase the intensity of the scale of intensity of the skylight. Sorry, and yeah. And what was I gonna do? I was gonna do a post-process volume. Post-process. Whoopsie, it should be here. And let me just go into my post-process volume. Where are you? Here you are. Sorry. My screen is a little bit small. I'm just doing this from my laptop, and I'm traveling at the moment. When I go back to the studio, yeah, I've got a bigger screen there. I can work from that. So infinite. We're gonna check for this, so it captures everything. Go to exposure. I changed it to manual and apply physical camera. Uncheck that. Let's bring this value to 0, and voila. There you go, sky. This is how you do it, basically. And now we're gonna expose some parameters and do a transition into afternoon or morning, afternoon, and then night. So let's go into here. I believe it's open. Yes, it is. So now we can just copy this. Copy. Just bring your cursor here and then Control-C, Control-B. We can call this the morning, afternoon. So there, we can change the name of this for, I think, MAF. So that's what I call it. Day control, no, it's MAF. Tint day to MAF, and tint day variation to MAF. So basically, I'm just changing the name of the parameters that are exposed. Everything is fine here, and I'm gonna just click this one here, right click, so it looks prettier. I want a bubble in there and there. So it's show bubble when zoom out. When you got so many nodes, it's quite helpful to have that to find stuff. So now let's copy all of that. Go down again, and maybe I can just bring this one down here. Let's just move that there. And then select all of this, C, and let's call it 9. Okay, so the thing I'm going to do here, just as a default, I'm going to give this a value of like an orange. Yeah, something like that. Should be fine. We can tweak that afterwards. And you can see this change in here, unless you change the name, it's going to keep linked to this one here. So let's go here, call this 9. And here, change the MAF to 9. Tin 9. 9. And we can change this to a blue, like a dark blue type of thing. Maybe like that. So how do we connect these three? We use a lerp. As you can see, there is 3 of them, not 2. So we are going to need a special lerp. So I think it's linear color or 3 color. I think yes. So if you type lerp and then lerp 3 color, this is the one we need. Let's connect the A for the day. Let's connect the afternoon, morning for the B, and let's connect the C to the night. Let's bring this in. I'm just going to bring this a little bit to this side, and we need an alpha because we want to set the which one we're going to use for that. I can use a parameter, so press S, left click. Let's call this sky cycle. I think it's a good name. And I'm gonna give a value of a maximum of 1. So it's between 0 and 1. Right, so you can comment this, all right? Sky cycle. We are gonna connect the result to this emissive color. Yeah, all of that. And now we want to have this organized on our instance on the parameters. So we're gonna have the rotation as a, let's call this group 1 and then position. And I'm gonna add my sky cycle as well to that group. For this one, I'm gonna create a day. I can call this day. And I can select this one, control, and click to have my 3 parameters, and select 2 day. I'm gonna have a 3, I think it's 2, it's number 3, Monday afternoon. And I'm gonna call this, yeah, Monday afternoon is fine. I think you can understand that it's Monday afternoon. And gonna select this. Let's add that into our group. This one is gonna be 9. So it's 4, 9. Select, control, and select the other ones. Add it into your group. And that's it. We got our HDRi backdrop material done. And you're gonna see this. It's not this one, sorry. On the instances, I'm gonna have these parameters all exposed. I'll expose here. So you can see, you can find the saturation, the brightness, the contrast in each of them, the tint, and the variation of the tint. So we can even give this value. Oops, we didn't limit this value. So I'm gonna go back to my master. So we just don't keep spinning around with that. Tint day is gonna have a maximum value of 1. This one, maximum value of 1. This one, a maximum value of 1. And I think the rotation, I need to do the same. Yeah, slider max, 360. And that's it. Okay. So now we're going to look into our environment and see if it rotates. It rotates. Things looking good. Now the sky cycle, we're going to see if something changed here. Nothing is changing. And why? Because our tint is not on the maximum value. For example, here and here. So between 0 and 0.49, it's going to be like an afternoon or morning type of sky. So to the value. And then if we go all the way to 1, we're going to have like a night version of that HDRi. So it's quite straightforward, and you can tweak all the parameters. For example, here we can change the brightness if we want it darker, or saturation, the contrast. Oops, I wasn't doing it on the right one. This is day. Sorry. That's the reason we didn't see any changes. So saturation here, brightness, you can see how that changed, and the contrast as well. So it's quite cool. I think it's the best HDRi backdrop I have done, and this is what I did for the Moore House, my recent project. And I'm just going to bring this here. There's another way, and the reason I left this exposed is because sometimes I want to do this in Photoshop. You can just have one HDRi and do the tint and the sky cycle as you wish, or you can go into, I've got Affinity Photos, sorry, I always call it Photoshop, but it's Affinity Photo. And for example, the evening one, I just drag that in. I'm gonna do this, gonna center, gonna bring this, and I already set some parameters here. So if I want like a night version of this, I already got like a 10 like adjustments, and then I got color adjustments. So it looks like a more night, and I can have control on the moon, and I can add stars if I want. That's another way of doing it. And it's just to show you the afternoon side of it. So it's basically achieving the same thing, but I can have maybe more control in here. Although if I'm doing something quickly, I just do it on Unreal, and that's it. I just change the tint I want, and just play around with stuff. I mean, you can have any color you want if you want to do something funky, or something more creative or stuff like that. So you can play around with all the colors and achieve. I mean, there's got so many possibilities. You can do whatever you want. So the first thing we're going to do is to create a blueprint. So right click, blueprint class, and select actor here. Let's call this BP environment, or HDRi backdrop, or whatever name you want to give it. So let's double click, and let's open this a little bit. So let's add a static mesh. This is going to be our wall sphere. So it's the one we brought from Blender. So it's this one here. Let's look for it. Here you go. SM depth wall. And we need to set the default materials for that. So let's double click, look into materials, instances, and HDRi backdrop.
So it's going to be the default material for that sphere. Let's compile, save. Now we can go back this full screen. So don't know if you remember, but we add a skylight. This, and we set this as a movable real-time capture. And I think we, on the advanced, yeah, we turn off lower hemisphere. We don't need it for these, or any case. I really don't like that that black in the horizon. So with that done, we can add our sun. So it's directional light. We can break this out here. So it's going to be movable. That's correct. Intensity, I'm going to change this to 3.14 is the value I usually work or start working with. Source angle, everything is fine here. Then add a sky atmosphere. And that can be as a child to our directional light. So let's compile, let's save, and then go into the construction script. So in here, we want to just drag this and look for set visibility. So we're going to start working with the sun, which is our directional line. And I want this to be hidden because I usually work with more like a flat light, or just especially for interiors. I prefer to work with just the HDRi light and no sun. I like the sun, I like the directional light, but I can't apply that in every cases. And based on interiors photography, like real estate, I always look at most of the time you use just a what's it called, diffuse light. That is the best one for photography. But we want to have this just in case we need it. We can just set the visibility. Let's promote to variable here, and then call this use sun and moon, because this is going to be our moon as well. Let's compile that. Let's click in this eye here just to make it editable. And the default value is going to be false. Now we can just go to here, set visibility to the sky atmosphere. Okay, and we can just propagate shield in that. And new visibility. Again, this is going to be use sky atmosphere. Let's click that, compile, and save. So we have set our parameters for the visibility of our sun and the sky atmosphere. So now let's set the intensity for our directional light. And let's create this a new variable, promote variable. Let's call this sun intensity. Compile, save, move that in, and we can set this straight away 3.14. So now we're gonna do maybe a indirect lighting intensity, sun indirect lighting intensity, I guess. Set indirect. Set indirect. This one here. Move this one down. And let's promote this to variable. Sun indirect lighting. Let's see what is it. One, so we can give this value to it. Compile, give a value of 1, and that's it. So what else we can just tweak in here? We can set the light source, just how diffuse you want your directional light. It always comes handy. I'll show you in a bit what that make. Oh no, this is set light color. Set light source, this one. Okay, let's promote this to variable as well. And sun source angle. Organize this a little bit. What else we can do here? Something I found handy is to control the rotation, the inclination, and the location of the sun in the parameters in the menu. Instead of you can do it with Control L, but now I just find like way easier for me to modify them on the menu. I've got, I guess, more control on it. So let's go to set world rotation for our directional line. And we can just split them because we only need our pitch and our yaw. So our pitch is going to be our inclination, and our yaw, our rotation in Z, it's going to be our sun location. So we can promote this to variable again. Let's call this sun inclination. Let's compile, save. We can give a value of minus 0.45, I guess. Something like that should be fine. And this one is going to be sun location. Maybe, yeah, that is correct. We make them visible, so 0, minus 45, and the value range in here, maybe you can give a value of 0 to minus 90, maybe, or slide range, or the other way around. And here, okay, that should work. Right, so we got our sun parameters. We can just do a comment here. Sun parameters. Let's get sun, moon parameters. Do a bubble there. So next, we want to add our skylight intensity and set the box, skybox or sky or world sphere material, so we can control them as well on the blueprint directly. So for the skylight, set skylight or set intensity is this one here, set intensity for skylight. We create a new variable here. Let's call this skylight intensity. Compile, let's give this a value of 1. Just checking everything. Source angle here. This one is something I forgot to do. Source angle is this one. Let's copy paste that. I think everything else is fine. Maybe our directional line is not in rotation that is needed, minus 45. So it's the inclination I just gave them here. Right. Everything is fine. This is everything we need for the skylight. If you want to add more parameters you can always do. Okay, now we want to set material for a world sphere. So material is, we're going to promote these two variables so we can change it. So let's HDRi, or let's go environment. No, I guess HDRi makes more sense here. Right, now we can look for, where's our material here? HDRi backdrop. Actually, we can change the name of that just so it's the same as our material. Okay, now we got our set material. We want to bring some parameters from that material, so it's quite handy to have the rotation, for example, or the sky cycle, and that's the things we're going to do. So just go here and set scalar parameter value on materials. That's the one we need. Let's promote this to a variable. It's going to be our sky cycle. And the parameter name, let's look into our material, see how that's called. So sky cycle, that is correct. Let's just type here, sky cycle. Skyline intensity is 1, that's correct. Sky cycle is 0, that's fine. Now let's do the same. We can actually copy paste this. Oh well. Let's do this again. Okay, and here we can call rotation. It's the name we gave here in the position. And the parameter value is another variable. So rotation. For this one, a slider range is going to be 1 and value of 0, and it's going to be editable, so visible in our menu. We do the same here, this I here, but our slider range is going to be from 0 to 360. Right. So now this is going to be our world sphere parameters. Great. I can move this here, bubble this. So now what we want to do, we got our sun, moon parameters, skylight, and the materials, but I want to change the color of the sun when my sky cycle is on the afternoon or night. So if I'm in the afternoon, the sunlight is gonna become more like an orange one, and the one from in the night is gonna become more like a bluish direct color. So it's just emulating what is gonna be the moon. So, and how we do that? Well, we need to set some conditions here, and we're gonna do is just let's do a branch here. So our condition is going to be, when it's true, we set the light color of our directional line to be what? What we want this to be. So when our sky cycle is, we need to do some conditions here. So should I bring that? Well, I can bring just one here. Where is the sky cycle? I can bring this, get sky cycle. Just so it's more organized. I don't need to bring all the nodes here. So what I want to do is to equal, greater, equal. So don't know if you remember, but here when you to the sky cycle. When you are like in 1, it's night. And I have been playing with values here. So again, it depends on which HDRi you use, but you can tweak all these values you want. But the idea is that when this value is greater than 95, this is going to be my condition. And when it's true, our new light color, let's promote this to variable. Let's go 9 moon color. Let's compile so we can get our color here. So I did use this dark blue tint now. So if you hold shift and right click, and then just right click in here, it's going to copy this value and we can bring it to here. So when the sky cycle is in a value of 95 or greater than 95, my condition is, this is a condition, the sun light color is going to be this blue. So this is the true for that. And now for the false, we want to do another branch and another condition, but this time we're going to do a less equal, and this is going to be 0.49. It's the value I use. Again, you can tweak all this value as you wish. And so when it's true, this is going to be a set light color. Okay, let's bring this down here. And let's do another. This is going to be our daylight color. So this is when it is less or equal to 0.49. So everything from 0 to 0.49 is going to be this color here. And our daylight is it's going to be full white. So if you go back and check on the directional light, it's a value of 1, so it's a value of 1 for that, so it's pure white. That's going to be our daylight color. And everything in between these two values, so 0.50 to 0.94, it's going to be our afternoon light. So we create set light color for a directional light. Let's compile. And for this color, let's promote this to variable. I call this afternoon sun color, or afternoon color. Yeah, sun color. And for this one, daylight sun color as well. Okay, so I think that's it. That's all we need for this blueprint. We're gonna test all of this soon. Let's just create a comment here, set condition for our sun color. Right, compile, save. We can create a groups for this, so it's not everything is in here. So let's look for HDRi backdrop. Let's got this environment. So you can create this group here. Okay, now what is skylight intensity? Now we want this. Okay. So sky cycle, where are you? You're here. And rotation. Okay, that's for our environment, and now everything else we can use it for. Sun. Yeah. So sun intensity. No, I can't do them all at the same time, I'm afraid. Sun indirect lighting. Sun source. Okay, use sky. Inclination. Location. Daylight. Okay. Now I don't want this one here, so move that. And now. Right, let's test and see if we did everything right. Now, something I forgot, I think, is the size of the world sphere. I don't know if you remember, but we had to increase the size to 20 scale, just so it will not hide the mountains. It wasn't big enough for that. Well, we can do 50 actually, just to cover our backs. Okay, let's go into blueprints here. Let's delete this skyline, this. So complete darkness, and we can just drag and drop. And that's it. You got our parameters here. Let's see if this is working. Skylight is working fine. Sky cycle is working. And it's going just to 1. Rotation goes 360. That is good. The sun. There you go. Got the sun here. An inclination of 45. Right. And the rotation as well. And if you want a sky atmosphere, the sun color is going to change. There. Oh, I only can see that something is not right here. So let's go back to this. And I think, yeah, they're hidden. That is the reason. Compile, save. So now we got our afternoon sun that we didn't change. Sorry about that. We can go here, the tint on MAF on the afternoon. We just shift right click. And here we just left right click. Compile, save. So something we can do is, let's duplicate this. Yeah, we can just do that. Name, and I don't know if you remember, but we brought another one of this HDRi, so you can test if everything is working fine. So you got one here, you got another one there, and it seems like everything is working fine. Yeah, maybe it's not the right type of HDRi for this environment, but thing is, you can create different backdrops and then just test things out, just dragging and dropping. It's a way easier to work, and everything you need is going to be here. You can, for example, this source, is the thing I was talking about. Oops, not this one. Source angle. You see how sharp and soften. So it's can be quite handy to have it here. That's the reason I brought it in. And you can do a rotation. You can just turn that off. And if you see here, when I do the sky cycle, don't know if you can realize, but the sun has changed the color. Maybe if we do it night time, you see, you can make it a little bit brighter or bluish. You get like a full moon type of color. But you can just tweak these things here and play around with it. Again, it's so many possibilities that you can use in this, but I hope this was helpful, and just wanted to show how I do things for this HDRi backdrop. People ask me how I did the blueprint, so this is the way I did it. It's quite easy. It's just exposing parameters for this directional light and the skylight. And oh, one thing I almost forgot, is for those who use path tracing, I'm gonna see if this, yes. So everything is dark here, and then you may think, well, what's going on here? And that is this, the world sphere is casting shadows. So it doesn't affect in the lumen side of it, because we got our faces facing inwards, but on path tracing, it affects it casts shadows when on path tracing. So it's just go here to world sphere in your blueprint, and then just go into lighting and cast shadows and turn that off. So, and everything is working fine. So this is with the path tracing. This is with lumen. So here you go, just in case you come with that issue. So yeah, that's it. Keep active, keep creating, and I hope to see you soon. Take care.